32 colleges entered, and now we are down to the top 8. Welcome to the 2022 College Championships presented by State Farm. I am your host for the evening, Ravishing Rabbit's most ravishing man on the internet, and joined here by my side by my absolutely stupendous analyst desk, column Rebel Fox and Smack. So Rebel, how we feeling, baby?
It's college game day. Finally, after months of waiting, we get to our top 8. We get to finally experience what we've been culminating as an entire season of collegiate, finally coming to an ending, getting our champion at last once again in 2022.
Yeah, you gotta hold your horses here. That's not until Sunday. We got some games before that, but they're gonna be great. Today specifically, it's a sunny day here in Los Angeles. I'm feeling good.
I'm excited, man. I mean, we were so worried about like what teams are going to make it and trying to figure out what the matchups are going to be. And the first day, we have Winthrop versus Maryville. Literally just a rematch of last year's national championship. All these games are going to be great.
Yeah, that is indeed correct, because 24 teams have fought hard and fallen. So all that remains is the top 8 with the bracket that we have in front of us for the championship right here, live from Los Angeles. As you see, first up, we'll see Western University take on UST Esports in a best-of-3, followed up by Maryville University against the defending champions, the Winthrop Eagles. Tomorrow, we're going to see Converse University against Michigan State and UCI Esports going up against Bay State College in our next set of BO3s. But before we get into all the matchups, I want to start off by acknowledging the resources that these colleges have to give to the students and the players as well, because I would say no program and no player are created alike.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, the amount of resources each team gets is very different. You have some schools like Maryville and St. Thomas where they have full-fledged out programs, they have practice rooms, they have scholarships available. And then you have some schools like Western and Michigan State where they don't have any of that. I know from talking to the guys at Michigan State, a lot of these guys hadn't actually seen each other at all before, like top 8 and before coming out here to LA. So obviously things are a little bit different, but you know, at the end of the day, you're all playing the same game and it just comes down to who's better on the day.
You know, speaking from experience, flying here from Lansing, where Michigan State University is, I had never seen any of those guys in person either. So it's another really fun moment where I get to see everybody for the first time in a very, very different state, but for the first time all the same. I'm really excited to see my boys.
And it's really cool also that like we get this difference of like resources being put in. We also get this difference of how old that these programs are, because we have programs like Converse and UST who are in their first real kind of season of competitive experience built off the back of some of these big programs. You think about what Maryville and UCI and those programs have done to make things look, to win these national championships over the last couple of years. And now, I mean, all these other programs, they're getting better so that they can replicate the same thing. They're building themselves up, and we're getting them here now.
Exactly that, because on the other end, we also do have a lot of blue bloods as well, right? Now, these teams bring the experience that we've seen, teams like Western, like UCI as well, who have such a history, you could say here, Colmer, on success all the way through.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you have 3 of these teams have won national championships before. Maryville is every year after year considered the best team over and over. And the team that's not even in that list is Winthrop, last year's national champions, who are trying to make that push from being a new blood school. Back-to-back titles kind of puts you in that blue blood territory, and maybe you're talking about a collegiate dynasty going forward.
It's a great time. Winthrop being able to do that, especially after some of the changes we see. We'll get to talk about the rosters in just a little bit. And a lot of these other programs trying to establish themselves as well. You don't want to be a one-off team. You don't want that. Instead, when you show up as a first-year program like Converse, like UST, to a big-name tournament like this, you really give your school bounds to give you even more resources and make this into even more of a large program.
One of the coolest things that we have here are the big banners up on the stage that I'm sure everyone's going to be seeing, whether you're here in person or on the stream. Up there, you get to see like all the history back to like 2014, I think, and like a lot of these teams already have banners here. It's going to be really fun seeing which one of them gets to hoist a new one.
Exactly, because speaking of which, too, the previous team that did actually hoist it was in fact Winthrop, our returning champions, right? Now, these guys are kind of good, I guess you could say, but maybe I'm kind of underselling it. You let me know, Smacks.
Oh yeah, no, definitely not underselling it at all. They're all right. You know, the Winthrop, they're back-to-back champions, maybe, if they can win this time. I've been really impressed by them. Maryville as well has been playing a whole lot recently. We've got some good tape on them. And, you know, Maryville, they've got some new players here, too, some returning ones that can maybe shake things up for that.
Well, we weren't going to see Maryville just yet, but we should talk about our first matchup of the day.
Yes.
That is going to be Western versus UST. So diving right into it here, Smacks, a lot of these guys that have seen each other, and some pretty recently.
Yeah, so firstly, we have to address the elephant in the room that these teams have been playing in proving grounds. Not the full teams, but the individual players have been getting the reps in, getting practice after practice in for proving grounds this entire year. But specifically, very recently, teams called AOE Esports and Team Pending have the cores of these two rosters, and they played 2 days ago.
Yep.
Yeah, we saw some exciting play between the two, and I believe it was actually Western that was able to get the better hand of that. But now we get their full rosters, we get collegiate, we get to be on the stage. So many different factors that kind of affect these two teams individually. That could change that, obviously.
Yeah. I definitely think it'll be interesting to see how many adaptations come from either of these teams. You get to see a little bit a couple days ago, but now it's like all the marbles, and you're playing them in a full series. It'll be really interesting to see if there are a lot of adaptations from the cores of these players.
I mean, we'll have to see if they do manage to get the better of them again, right? So let's focus in on UST just a little bit. Now, this team has been successful throughout this entire year, winning match after match, tournament after tournament in general. So, Kalma, starting off with you again, man. Like, this UST roster is so acclaimed yet. Why?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they just hit the ground running. This is their second full year of having a program, and to bring in such great players that they have. You have Porsche, who just turned 18, has been playing League of Legends competitively for years now.
Yeah.
You have Robbie Bob, who's been a staple in the scene forever. Shogo, who is originally Israeli and just came to North America to get his collegiate education and to pursue it. The whole roster top down is insane. They've invested a ton of resources to make a push for national championship this year, and it looks like they have a good chance to do it.
I think what's really cool about UST specifically is that they came out with this 5-man roster just last year. Gateway Legends went top 4 by beating Harrisburg. And then they replaced a couple of people. Their bot lane ended up getting picked up in a number of different situations to very, very good organizations as well. They pick up a new bot lane, and they're still running. They ended up with a different top laner because Porsche stepped in after their first event. He was amazing as well. Like, the fact that this team was able to take those kinds of punches with their roster differences and still come out as one of our top teams is miraculous.
Because you see on the other end, too, their opponents aren't too shabby either. We're talking a bit about them as well, but this whole Western squad in general, Smacks, has been nuts.
I have a feeling that you like them a little bit more than the rest of us, as they are the only remaining Canadian team, and you are our Canadian rep. If they get knocked out, I got bad news for you, Ravish. It's all USA from then on out. But yeah, Western has been doing a phenomenal job. I already mentioned that Winston and Lynx are playing in PG. They've been doing a great job there. They've been doing a great job all year.
Indeed, yeah, because especially with the duo of Winston alongside his partner in crime being Gorica, which him and Shogo are a featured matchup of the day. I want to take a closer look into this exact bot lane because UST has been acclaimed as a fantastic bot lane team in general, and Western on the other end are not too shabby either, which is what they boast in terms of the camaraderie.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, honestly, a lot of bot lanes this tournament are good, and from talking to a lot of the players, a lot of them are making the claim that they are going to be the best bot lane in this tournament. If you're talking about two players off cuff that you're like, these guys are really damn good at the video game, it's going to be these two, and they've been talking trash all week, so I'm really excited to see which one decides to prove it and qualify for semifinals.
Yeah, according to Shogo, Gorica is washed, and according to Gorica, he wants to put him in his place. So these two have just been off camera doing some pretty incredible things, just talking to one another, and seeing them on the map is going to be electric.
Well, on camera, they've got some dice there, Shogo, on the graphic. I wonder what those are about. I don't know. Is he rolling the dice on this
Cheesing
matchup?
Still, even through
True, yeah, look at him.
Doesn't smile.
That's
Look at that guy.
So nuts, man. Because besides just his smiles, what else was impressive?
The Yumi.
Was that, let's go. Was their stats in general, too. Because you saw Gorica was first in almost every single thing in there in terms of the matchup, too. But, gentlemen, I do want to get your final thoughts on the matchup, including our predictions. Rebel, I want to start off with you. Who's going to take it and why?
I think this is a really close game. I think even a month ago, we thought that this was going to be close. I remember having predicted this. Myself and Brandon were actually on a stream where I talked about this, where I thought Western was going to be it. I call it's actually UST in a 2-1. I think they've really come together as the season went on.
Ooh, Smacks.
I'm going UST also. I'm going 2-0, though. I think they've got this one in the bag. I have a lot of faith in Shogo, and, you know, we may be on a different patch today, but Rengar Ivern is eternal.
That is not incorrect, and I think that man on the screen right there, Gorica, might have to take the brunt force of a lot of that part of this in general. Galmer, who you got, baby?
Last year, round of 16, knocked out one of the only Canadians teams left. Round of 8, knocked out another Canadian team. One of those was Western. I'm not going to mount with my prediction.
Yeah.
UST wins 2-1.
Well, you know what? As a Canadian myself, I know I have one clear choice. It'll be UST 2-0. So we'll have Paisley and Arc Battery standing by for the cast. Gentlemen, I hope y'all are ready. Let's get into the first match of the day for Collegiate.
How could we not be ready after the Arc Battery? It's going to be quite the weekend here at Collegiate.
I just love how Ravish is like, yeah, I'm going Canadian. Boom, UST is going to win.
I want to point out, geographically, Michigan is quite close to Canada. So Smacks did have potential there.
Oh, I don't know how I feel about that one. I don't want to give any more. He already has the MSU prediction going on
That's
later.
true. But when they get knocked out, he can keep cheering for Canada.
Yes, he'll be the only Michigan rep. So we got a really exciting stuff. I don't know if they talked about it on the desk, but this is 12-9. Everybody
Yes,
has been
it's
watching
12.9.
Yeah, 12-10 is happening. If you've been watching Academy this last weekend, as well as a
11's
bunch
happening
of
next week. If
yes,
you start watching League of Legends then.
There's going to be so many different patch changes. So for 12-9, this is our swan song. This is the last possible time we will see this patch before we send it on over into the ocean.
Most importantly as well, it is 12-9 with some changes. Olaf, Talia, and my brain is...
Olaf, Talia, Swain.
That's the one. Those champions are not available, unfortunately, despite their changes in 12-9, which is part of the impetus, obviously, right? Pretty significant changes for those champions, so we're not allowed here in this patch either. So, if you've been watching 12-8, which you saw a lot of, if you watched them in Season Invitational and League around that time, you'll be pretty familiar with what's going on, but obviously there were a few changes as well.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing for us is what we're going to see from the bot lane, which they did highlight with Gorica versus Shogo. We're probably going to see more of the same that we've been seeing throughout the year, which is more of the Jinx, more of maybe the Xayah as kind of was tapering off at the end of CLOL, top 32 and 16.
Yeah, we'll see as well. Obviously, these players have comfort picks. It's tough for them too because they've probably been playing solo queue. So obviously, there are a couple patches ahead in that regard as well. But they also practice, so we'll be well versed on this patch. There's a ton of data about what things you can pick. But I think especially in somewhere like Collegiate, where players can sometimes, but not always, be a bit more specialized, you can just pick something you know well, even if it's not the best. And you have one area of the map you feel like you can run over, which may be bot lane. If you're on the western side, for example, you can just kind of pick what you want as long as it's not obscenely troll.
Well, you say obscenely troll, but UST have played and won with a Victor or an Ivern and Rengar mid combo. Ivern mid there, rocking it for Robbie Bob. He's playing supportive for his jungler, Kitsuo, who's been on fire, and he is always willing to pull the trigger. He's always willing to go for aggressive invades, and that, I think, will be kind of the linchpin for this team, whether or not they're able to follow up and if UWO are able to punish.
Yep, and obviously on the other side there for Western, a very storied, historied, experienced jungler on their side in Winston. So we'll see what happens here. Perhaps Rengar will see some attention, whether in the game or in the bans, because we are into champs right now for game number 1.
Ooh, if Rengar hits ban phase, I'll be happy. I hate playing this champion against it, and obviously Gorica does not want to have Kitsuo running down his lane with a Rengar thrill of the hunt. That'll be really interesting. So already Nocturne taken away from Winston, and GP, one of Porsche's, if not the best champion that he has played all year in his career.
Yep, very good in the current meta, very good in the hands of capable players. There are a lot of good Gangplank players in the top lane these days, so definitely good one to take away.
And while we're kind of going through these bans, kind of touching a little bit on how the history of UWO, we saw it a little bit in the replay package earlier. This is the same team that was up against Maryville in 2019, and Gorica was playing top lane against Niles. Now, obviously, now playing AD carry, I think, kind of coming back onto the stage, playing again in a really big venue like this, should be exciting for someone like him.
Yeah, he's played on a ton of different teams at a ton of different levels in the league. He's been around for so long, but this has been a team he has a pretty extensive history with, let's say, as Rengar does actually get banned alongside Karma and Senna. So a lot of supportive champions taken away by St. Thomas.
Yeah, Loyal has also been playing AD carry over in Proving Grounds. So there's a ton of role swaps. They're playing different champions everywhere. And seeing already the Lucian get banned alongside that, I think is really smart when you're playing on red side. This champion is really disgusting. And not only that, we still have Jinx.
Especially in any sort of bot lane centric game, but of course Lucian leaks into solo lanes as well, especially in mid lane. Don't really want to let that one through. That does unfortunately mean that Gwen will be left over, but that is certainly the lesser of two evils as far as champ select's concerned on this patch.
It's one of those duos, right? Like if you're on red side and you're able to get Lucian Nami, you get to play the lane a little bit better. You get to have a little more fun in that case. But getting rid of Lucian gets rid of Nami in the same way. So for Western Ontario, picking up this Graves I think is a really cool flex just because we've seen a couple of different looks from Calculus as well up in the top lane.
Be cool to see that, most certainly. Matchup will be fun if we get to see it there. Lulu, though, is going to be the pick for Lynx. They're obviously wanting to lean into these enchanters. I guess it could be Loyal's champion as well, but with Karma already banned, I have to think UST are kind of aiming down that bottom side, not wanting Gorica to play something that might really scale into the mid game.
Yeah, Loyal so far has been a player where you don't necessarily want to see him like super skill check players. He's really gone on low econ when he's playing these supportive champions. And so I'm kind of maybe expecting we see another enchanter in the mid lane. That is definitely a possibility.
There is Wukong as well. One of the big winners of this patch. Seen a ton of Wukong. That's going to continue as Robbie Bob is flicking through a couple different picks. Pretty big smile on his face. He's going through a couple of different assassins. Of course, that means you lock in Victor.
Yeah, come on, Pastry. We can't be talking about hovers. These are baits.
I knew what was happening.
Yeah, Robbie Bob does, he has a pocket pick Zed. I don't know if we'll be able to see it this tournament, but it's something to keep in mind. His assassin play is still there, and we're going to we'll maybe get to see it a little bit later on in the tournament. But Victor is super strong and obviously taking up the just strong team fight presence that they're going to have later on in the game. After they hit that one item, it's going to be that third Drake that I'm looking at for St. Thomas.
Yeah, when you hover, when they hover Oriana and Victor, that's when you get excited.
Yeah!
For the assassin flip.
Can't wait to watch some more Azir Corki.
Oh no. Looks like the pick up here for Western as we'll move ourselves into phase 2 of bans.
Okay, so set picked up here. This is definitely just at this point probably going to be going over to Calculus at this point, just because we already see the Senna's been taken away, so getting rid of that kind of as a farm lane. Now bot lane, we're just going to be throwing out every single carry and probably enchanters as Yuumi hits the table.
Yep, no Yuumi. I think it was likely a consideration for UST to pick up, but decided to forego it here and will give up the opportunity to take it as a result. Vayne banned away from Gorica. Again, not a champion that's super prevalent, but you don't want to give it over to a player that can really pop off on that champ.
Maybe if they were on 12-10, they would definitely been like, yeah, let's pick up some Vayne. Gorica has already been playing a lot of Vayne, and especially when you have a Lulu, that is exactly what you want to see. What I want from Western, maybe that St. Thomas can try to pick out, is their wave clear is not fantastic. Their ability to attack a wave at distance is going to be a little problematic, and so what do they pick? Jinx is still available, and that would be my first go-to if I want to try and have access to the wave.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I imagine they're going to take an AD out of this phase as well. They're just throwing bans at different enchanters. Soraka, not often seeing it get taken out, but good read by UST. Jinx going to be the easy pick-off here as well.
Okay, so that just leaves, in my mind, Aphelios. Aphelios Lulu is a super strong combo, and as a late-game hyper carry, it is really, really strong, and it leaves St. Thomas, I think, with a few different answers. What is St. Thomas going to pick for their bot lane? Shogo could go for something a little bit more aggressive like the Callista, but the last time we saw it on CLoL, ended in a loss, didn't look all that good. The laning phase was all right, but something that definitely could still pop out.
Okay. Looks like we're saving counter pick because that's a Seraphine.
Okay.
One of our 2 enchanters is going into, I assume, mid lane.
Yeah, Seraphine into Victor is a good matchup. I think it's perfectly fine. You outrange the Victor. You're also able to match him in the wave push, and then you're able to immediately link up with your jungler.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay. We're going for it. All right, Severe Nautilus, everyone get in there.
Nice. Okay. We're just going straight up aggressive.
Nice
we want to go for
enchanter
kill.
bans.
Exactly. Yeah, get rid of the Soraka, which is going to be super problematic for someone like Samir and Nautilus. And this is just really cool. I like this coming out from Western. Picking them with the Ashe now, obviously, this is going to give you a ton of the range priority. However, falling back on it may be a little bit more difficult if they ever find an all-in.
12-9 Coggles? No, it's Ashe.
First it was the Zed, now they hit us with the Cog.
All right. Well, we didn't fall into the trap. It is going to be Ashe here for Gorica instead. Weston, I mean, we don't see bot lane a counter pick very often on red side, but again, when we talk about the 2v2 being an important element of this matchup, Western Ontario taking that to heart, really leaning in on trying to make the lane phase as breezy as they can possibly make it.
Yeah, and obviously with the matchup with how Western should be able to play it, they have 2 ranged into the range and the melee.
Yep.
So that means that they will always have the ability to pressure onto Shogo and Chookies, and it is on Western or on St. Thomas to punish that. How do we get Ashe in an uncomfortable position? Either blow a flash, try to force her, play in Fog of War with Chookies.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you say, it is range versus range, but Ashe and Samir's ranges were not created equal when they made the champions.
Yeah.
It's like 100 at least between
You're
the 2.
not able to play that. And so it means for St. Thomas, they need to play aggressive. And Shogo is obviously the kind of player who will show off, who will try to style on you. But sometimes that can bite you. That is a double-edged sword.
Yes, especially against a champion like Ashe. You either pop off in every single fight, or you get arrowed to the face and die instantly. Although, Sumer W, pretty good, it turns out.
Yeah, I would say. It's also pretty short cooldown, and there's a lot of skill shots you're going to have to try and avoid on this matchup.
Yeah, has cleanse as well. Understands the role of Samira is to keep on moving throughout the team fight, because when you stop, you die and stop doing damage. It's a pretty bad 2-for-1 deal, not in your favor when you're playing this champion.
Typically, I would say a lot of champions play like sharks, right? If you just keep moving, you're fine.
Yep.
If you stop moving, it's a little bit more problematic.
Bruise. We'll see what happens here in game number 1. Our first of 2 best of 3s for the day. Our first of 4 best of 3s for the week. 4 total days of Collegiate Hierarch Battery. We will finally determine our champion for 2022. In a long while. We have quite the journey to make before we get there.
Yes, but this is also the return of the LAN event. The 1st time
Let's
we've had
go!
all of the teams and their families, players, the fans coming into the LCS studio and able to kind of hold that tradition that we've kind of missed for the past couple years. So, really exciting. I'm glad we got to meet some of the parents. Obviously, later on, we'll see some of the more famous ones that have been hanging around in amateur especially.
Well, for now, in-game, it is just vibes. Everyone's spreading out. No one wants to face Checker Brush that might have 5 enemy champions in it. Very measured here in the opening minute.
Yeah, and for now, what I'm looking for is what St. Thomas is going to do for the first 2 Drakes, because the bot lane is going to be my biggest priority here. If Gorica and Lynx can kind of take it to them and keep them under their turret, obviously Winston is going to have a lot easier of a job to walk into that bot lane jungle and put down vision.
Yeah, it does have Ghost as well, so definitely favoring longer engagements, whether it's through a lane or through the enemy jungle. But Winston, no stranger to this champion, as Loyal fires off an ability there in mid, but Robbie Bob getting that first strike going up against the area there. Lots of poke here in this mid lane 1v1, and not expecting too much, since both these champions in different ways want to contribute to bigger fights rather than try and outplay their lane opponent 1v1.
Exactly, and I think that's where the big thing here is going to be for me anyway. When we've seen Robbie Bob really perform and excel, it has been on control mages and stable lane phases. When he is able to farm out and maybe get an objective lead here or there early on, Robbie Bob as a control mage player, fantastic. But when you get abused, when there's an enemy jungle in his lane, gets a little dicey, gets a little hairy there.
Curious 1v1 right now. Calculus feeling pretty good. So Porsche maybe going in. Robbie Bob with a big amount of poke.
Wow.
Gonna have to chew through a potion there on Loyal's side.
Okay, and so now I think Loyal's probably like, hey, what can we do with this mid lane wave after Winston finishes off his topside camp here? He could come mid and help push that out and get a little bit of priority. You see they've already put down vision in this bot side jungle. And thank you to Observers for this. We're getting the full range hawk shot.
The whole tour very nicely aimed there for Gorica.
I don't know if they saw Kitsuo there. Like, it skirted by the red buff, and so I don't necessarily think they know exactly where Kitsuo is. They saw his whole top side is gone.
Those pings say they did, so they're going to leave because they know.
Here we go.
So there's a possibility, but they're flashing on in. Everyone's flashing out to safety. Gorica and Link's going to burn through a summoner to get out.
And I love this coming out from Shogun and Chookies. They're pushing out this lane.
Oh, this is so good. Link's too far forward there. Kitsuo going to unleash. Chookies, though, doesn't have the angle for the hook. And now Winston going to roll on down. Exhaust his pop. Lulu going to turn the fight around. Damage is big. That's not enough. Winston has to get out of there. Winston going to go in, forces a flash, moves on in, gets himself rooted. Shogo flashes out to save him. Kitsuo gets low the glue. Perfect! As Gorica's going to get first blood and Winston's going to get second.
Right there. As soon as I saw them overextend into the turret range, there was a lot of question mark pings from me. I was very worried there, and Shogo Chookies, as well as Kitsuo, go way too far. They overextend. Really great punish there from Winston to get his team back onto the board. So not only 2 kills in their back pocket, but another wave that's going to crash.
Very, very timely play there from the experienced members of Western. I think Gorica must have seen Kitsuo with that Hawk shot. Because they backed off basically perfectly. I mean, they could have backed off earlier and not used the flag, but arguably, they baited him in because they knew Winston was coming.
Exactly, and I think at that point, we get to see in this replay, UST maybe going a little too aggressive, and this is that double-edged sword we were talking about earlier. Kitsuo is like, I got both of the flashes, but they're walking up on this wave. This is a good punish. You have the wave that's already here at the turret, so they're going to be missing out on experience and gold. But right here, as soon as they're this far in and they're battling minions, Shogo's not hitting anybody. He's not doing any damage in this fight. And Chookies, he's done. He can't really do anything. He's a level 2 Nautilus. Hook is gone. So really good punish. And again, it sets off this Grace to be very well fed. Another carry that they can rely on as the game goes on.
Yeah, really nice support play as well there for Lynx. Good aim on the Qs out of Lulu to make sure they can maximize the slows and get both those kills. That'll be 1,000 gold up there as once again Kitsuo is going to be spotted off the Hawkshot, and Winston not done. Actually roaming up here, and this is awful for Porsche.
Oh man, Porsche's in so much trouble. He's like, so my jungler is pathing away from me, and I want to crash this wave so I don't lose out on minions and experience. But now, I can't. I'm going to have to just TP back to the lane and hope that Graves is still not there.
Well, Winston's currently on the Krogs, but could be back up top in just a moment. Porsche has to know what's going on here. Slowly but surely. Well, not anytime soon. That wave's a little too big, unfortunately. Calculus doing a nice job of managing it there. Thankfully, for Porsche, is Winston pathing away, but obviously Gwen doesn't know that.
He's just lucky. He got the heart of the card on clutch for him. There we go. Gwen doing a little bit of the fun snip stuff, but kind of this wave is stuck here. Again, with Porsche and Kitsuo, he knows he's on the opposite side of the map. He has to play this on the edge. He's playing his matchup very, very aggressively right now, and maybe there's another punish here. This wave is massive for Western.
Yeah, Chucky's only level 3 as well. Has to be careful here. They know. I mean, the posturing is enough to give it away. There's a ward there as well. Kitsuo actually not going to be even able to take that out as Winston's going to roam down again. Another quick slow. They just keep stacking. It's basically a stun. Kitsuo is going to be able to dash away with the decoy, but not enough. Nice. Samira W is going to keep Wukong barely alive, and Loyal's down here as well.
They're
let her rip with the ulti.
Yeah, maybe. There's level 4s, level 5s, Loyal's here with that ultimate like you were saying, and there's no Samira wind wall. So with this wave crashing...
It's actually doomed.
Can they do it? He has cleanse. Shogo has cleanse. Can he make this play? There's no teleports. Robbie Bob has ignite in his ultimate.
It could be 5v2 if they want. They're going to dive in. They're going to get one with that Victor ulti. Massive on the backside of it. A double for Winston. But Robbie Bob finds an answer as Gorica's trying to get out of there. Winston going to maybe be a third there as Robbie Bob's trying to turn the play around. Winston barely able to dash out to safety. Now Gorica is coming in for the maximum punish. Victor will be left to die as Gorica cleans up again.
Oh my god, and the Western boys, they get to pop off even more. That looked very, very close for a moment there in that tri-bush when Robbie was picking up all these kills. But Shogo, he pops the cleanse really early in that fight, so the Serafino is already ripping through the rest of his team. And now Western are completely far ahead at this point. They will have priority as they come back and redeploy onto the map with their bot lane, maybe finishing off a couple of mythics here in their jungle. This is going to be incredible for them as we got to replay this.
Yeah, again, trying to defend, but there's just nothing you can do.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, I will say, for UST, Robbie Bob, really awesome ultimate. That just completely decimated the back line of Western. And there we go. Lynx, he takes the roam off into the top lane. He has no TP, he has a ghost. 15 seconds, this wave is going to crash, and Western, they are firing on all cylinders right now.
Yeah, I don't know how many buttons Lynx actually had to press in that gank, but got an assist, so definitely worth it there, roaming up towards the top half of the Rift. Calculus using that TP, got to use it later thanks to where the wave was, had the better spike, had the level 6, just throws Gwen in towards the turret and picks up an easy 2v1.
Yeah,
Lynx
there
roaming
we
up
go.
here, so I'm sure we'll get a peek.
Nice. Okay, and this is just basically what we've been watching all throughout the game. Calculus, really good wave management so far early on into the game, and Lynx is just here for the punish. Gwen, she may be immune to the 1v1, but it looks like the Lulu polymorph is just enough.
Yeah, Lynx actually did decent down there.
He
It wasn't just
pressed
roaming in and
enough
auto-attacking. Obviously, that'll cut off the escape as well, and it's Ghost for Gwen, so no escape there for Porsche. There's going to be bad times here, as Dragon also going to be picked up here.
Okay,
UWO.
so I do want to say, Western, I like that they're keeping up the tempo, right? They're constantly making plays. They're up in a lot of their lanes in terms of the experience and the levels that we're seeing here on the side of our screen, but they need to continue getting objectives. These dragons are going to help, but really for St. Thomas, they're waiting for the third dragon. They're waiting for that spike when Robbie Bob maybe has an item and a half, when Shogo is able to kind of catch up in that gold department. That'll be where they will make or break the game.
Actually going to try and stop this Herald here. Kitsuo a little bit low.
That's
good. Here though, but here's Lynx. They're going to go in for it there. The damage though is pretty big, and Winston, he's going to live with the shields, but not long enough. Robbie Bob's still there, gets himself stunned. Loyal moving in to try and get the Calculus. He's going to roam on in. Lynx able to get the kill in an absolute mess of a battle around this Rift Herald. And now it's Calculus left on in a 1v2. The Rift Herald goes to Gwen. Calculus still trying to find his way out of there. Set W's ready to go. Gorica.
Shogo.
With a 1v1 finds it. So Weston get a kill, Porsche gets revenge, and they will get the Herald as well.
Oh my god, and the Herald almost despawned there. That's the Battle of the Alamo on Herald top side. Shogo not able to win the 1v1. He's losing out on the range matchup, but he presses tab. He looks at the top side of his map. Gamers, we did it. We made out on the play. We got it, and it was a little bit messy.
Also cut the gold lead down relatively significantly.
Yes.
Herald should be some extra gold as well after points is there. Let's watch this one again.
Okay, so the fact that Robbie Bob lives through all of this is basically healing and shielding 101. Not only is he able to use the Q and getting a lot of movement speed off of that, but playing really well off of vision here. Robbie Bob lives for so long, dodges out on the Seraphine ultimate. And this is honestly just really fun to watch if you're just like a spectator. You're just seeing Toil get max HP shield. Lynx is here, putting down DPS. And while Calculus, he's waiting for his ultimate, he's not able to do anything. In the picture-in-picture after all of this, Winston is doing what he does best, playing aggressive, running down the enemy support. Chookies has died, and Shogo, the wave is in no man's land. He's getting proxied in between his turrets. I think Shogo may be taking a fast pace home.
No ulti, yeah, can't do it. Robbie Bob almost enough to complete a potential kill. But again, down the bottom side, it's 3v2. Gorica's got the arrow. Winston, though, doesn't want to commit. Now Kitsuo's going on in. You cannot fight this Graves. The decoy's going to get stunned, but Winston's going for it. The hook is nice, but the wild growth is going to keep Graves alive a little longer. And Winston, he just doesn't care, but maybe he should. Maybe not. Is UST going to have to turn tail? It's not balanced. Gorica on a rampage. Winston just going through the enemy team as Robbie Bob's down here. Gorica getting blasted there. The damage is good. Lynx, though, is going to die. And Robbie Bob keeping the game alive for his team. Shogo gets one. Robbie Bob gets a second. And now topside, we're not done fighting as Gwen looking good with that freshly bought Rift Maker.
It's Armageddon across the Rift. We are fighting constantly. There's only good fights at all times. Shogo, despite what was looking really scary for him, he's able to come in and clean up, pick up a couple kills, and it seems like time and time again, the solo laners for UST are bailing them out of this game, whether it means in finding good kills on the top side or saving good ganks coming out from Western.
Romy Bob's doing a great job on this victor, I'll tell you that much. He has saved 2 different plays in bottom side that looked absolutely doomed. Rewarded with 4 kills, the result has 4 assists. That's just a Hex Flash, no one panic. Chuggy is trying to find the angle, but it isn't there. In the shadows, though, Winston and Lynx are now here, but Calculus can't find the grab. No face is broken. Porsche can be saved.
I just like how the supports, both of them are playing like Jaws music, like just like hiding in fog of war, ready to jump. Ends up not going for it. Both of them get sided one way or another, but UST still keeping up the pace. Again, it is in that third Drake. Yes, they are a little bit ahead in gold, but we're still missing Shogo in a lot of these fights. And Kitsuo really hasn't kind of found his foot pace, his foot mark here in the game. It has really been Winston dictating the tempo.
Yeah, definitely. Again, the 2 experienced members of UWO, Winston and Gorica, off to the races here with 4 kills apiece, but going to be matched pretty nicely there by Robbie Bob, whose Victor is keeping the game up. Porsche also got a bunch of kills in the last 2 exchanges, so Gwen is going to be a problem, because Gwen is a problem, as it turns out. Even Herald dropped there, because Porsche was the one to nab it. Going to get a bit of extra gold.
Okay, so this is obviously just to apply a lot of pressure. I would have liked to have seen Porsche move this, but obviously he just wants gold now, wants to be able to maybe get a few more items, finish those plated steel caps like we see from him. This next dragon, you know, it is really cool and important, but we still have Rift Herald, the second Rift Herald, which my eyes are going to be on, because Western obviously want to take that away from the side of St. Thomas, and St. Thomas need that just for some necessary gold injection.
Alrighty, well, UST first to the play here in the bottom half of the Rift. 15 seconds till the dragon is up. Winston going back. Not the timing you're looking for if you want to contest for this dragon, so my assumption is that you aren't going to. And they'll just maybe go ahead and trade it for something else here. But UST hoping a straggler moves through the brush. Unfortunately for them, there will be no customers today.
Yeah, and look at how they moved, right? They already moved over Gorica to pick up this top wave, completely giving up this dragon, recognizing, look, we don't necessarily need this. We recognize that the game is going to be played not by inches, but by miles. So for right now, let's play for a little bit. Let's get more gold into Gorica, as he is super far ahead alongside Winston. And I did want to kind of take a note of, look at where the summoner spell advantages are. Gorica does not have flash. They want to try and protect this Ashe as long as they can.
Yeah, plates wearing off. Gorica, though, maybe going to be able to finish off the tower here. It's worth a pretty penny if you can get it, but the wave isn't in the right spot. Porsche should be able to catch it. Winston is also down there in the enemy jungle, but a good move here by UST to protect Porsche here in the top half of the Rift.
Oh,
Gorica, though, wants it. Winston going to be left alone. The Nautilus ulti's there! Almost gets 2, but not going to grab it there. Gorica does get the tower, though, as Porsche leaping on in. No flash, remember. The heal already popped. TP burn. Stun is there. They're going onto the Gwen, but Robbie Bob gets exhausted a little bit late, and so the ulti's still ticking around.
Kitsuo
Flashing on in, but Kitsuo finds Link to the bottom side, the backline decimated there by the UST flank, and Calculus can't get out. Winston's gonna be left for dead, and Calculus CC'd into oblivion as UST find 4 kills in the top lane.
Oh, Robbie Bob playing on the margins there. He's able to do a lot of damage, but him and Kitsuo finally link up. It's what we've been waiting. It took 15 minutes for it to happen, but they finally make a really good flank. And the fact that Porsche,
Oh, that was so spicy! Don't know if it's gonna do anything, but I love the look there. Porsche gonna die, we'll call worth it. That's a very fancy Seraphine ult.
okay, it landed on 2. She got the encore, but I'm sure Porsche, he's finding that more than worth. As he goes down, they get a turret to answer from UST, and everything is now slipping away from Western. Big thing here, not only did Gorka die, but also Winston. He got caught up in that mess.
Yeah, a lot of gold given over and an awful lot of pages in that college textbook there for Robbie Bob. 10 on the Matthias. He's been going off now. 6 kills, 6 assists. Shogo is going to get jumped on. The W is not going to be enough. Gorica finds another kill.
That is the problem with this matchup. As soon as Ashe has a beat on you, you are done. You either need to get a bailout from one of your teammates, or you just got to go in. If you're this Samira, you are going in. You just have to try to throw down the gauntlet and say, let's see what happens.
And again, Robbie Bob. Oh! Yep, that's what happens.
Hello?
That's what happens.
I'm just glad that Lynx understands. He puts down the happy bee mode. He's like, yep, all right, fine, whatever.
What vision? Did he even use?
It may have been that pink ward, or
Yeah.
he may have seen him. I don't know. Maybe it might have just been that pink
W
ward.
gives you a little bit of vision, if I recall
Yeah.
correctly. So, yeah, I mean, obviously, like, I joked about it because he's really fed, but he does pop people there. As Calculus gonna have to use the ulti to exit. Good W, but the damage is still there. More than enough CC to give Kitsuo another kill. And again, we talked about the lead, the early lead that Western had, and UST are doing 1,000 gold better than the lead that they had before.
They're doing all right for themselves. They're picking up turrets, right? They're putting down relevant damage here. And Winston is now on this side of the map. I wonder what he's going to prioritize here. Looks like he's instead just going to put down vision. But, I mean, UST, they got a kill there. Winston's going to take away a camp. And by the time we see St. Thomas redeploy base, come back out onto the map, they can just push them out of the river here. They're going to lose access to the Rift Herald unless Western find a play, find a kill.
Orca trying to take these towers down. Chucky's maybe caught in the crossfire. Doesn't get rooted up by the Seraphine, just barely missed the second E coming through. Kitsuo, that's a decoy, but you know what? Might as well pepper it with a couple arrows, see if you can get a bit of that frustration out, because it has been a good early game for them, and now all of a sudden it feels like the game has flipped itself over. The Dragons have equalized. You're going to have to take another fight soon. And again, they're battling for this mid, and UST aren't going to give this up easily.
Okay, but how do they find engage? It has to be off of either Loyal. Winston's going to be here, but he doesn't have many engage tools.
No, Victor, I don't think you can win the team fight without him, and I think Western Ontario agree with me, as Winston is going to give him a little bit of extra escape.
Okay, St. Thomas, they need to recognize Victor is their win condition right now. Victor completely controls every fight. He gives them control in team fights for the river and makes sure that Ashe and Winston cannot walk into any fight without taking a ton of their HP. And maybe they're able to push them out here. Lynx does not have Shirellia, so if they really need to get out of a pinch, that is not available.
Winston also trying to take this Herald, but he doesn't have Smite. UST should be able to check this in time.
I think they're too late. They're too late for this.
We'll see. There's going to be a fight. Robbie Bob is going to be delayed, and you are correct. The Herald is not going to go over it. Now you have to get the eye, because it spawns back in the middle.
Okay, so this is the bet now. Does anybody walk over and try to steal it? No. Okay, so just a resource denial, kind of, right? We're taking this away from St. Thomas. We got the experience, a little bit of gold, probably a little bit nicer for someone like Winston, but I mean, now they've moved over Victor. Victor finally, after pushing that wave, is going to join the rest of his team. He has Shadow Flame in his back pocket.
Yeah.
So it is now third Drake coming back into it. In 19 minutes, you have a super fed Victor. Ashe and Gorica, this Loyal, his ultimate needs to find multiple members. And if that's not the case, Western are almost, it's super difficult for them to walk in.
Look again, down the bottom side of your screen. The other problem is they don't know where Gwen is. And Porsche's just chilling in this brush with the perfect flank angle. So if you start this dragon, you are going to lose the team fight almost guaranteed. But they have to walk in. Kitsuo starts. Here's Porsche on the other side. Winston going to be caught on the front lines. It's Loyal getting crushed. And now Porsche diving back in. Winston completely zoned out of the fight. Shogo just barely able to get the kill. They'll grab the dragon as well, and Western should be lucky to only lose one.
And now Western need to be feeling the pressure of this game on their shoulders. St. Thomas, yet another dominant team fight. They got one kill, but you look at the blinking HP bars, and at that point, Western have to kind of just handshake and say, guess we're gonna wait for the next one. They're not having access to that dragon. Now, St. Thomas, if they're able to have that as a win condition, 3 Infernal Drakes for them, Victor one-shots anybody on his screen.
And again, just really nice use of the positioning you had. Good use of the vision you build around this dragon pit. And it's a bit of a mess, but navigated nicely here by UST.
Yeah, Kitsuo obviously engages, tries to find that angle onto Loyal, but it's Seraphine. We already talked about this a little bit earlier. She's just going to heal and shield her way all the way back to base. And it's just building space for Robbie Bob. Obviously, with him and Porsche, they've been doing a fantastic job, as we've been saying. They are ripping apart the front line. They immediately marked Winston and put him down, made sure he was out of the pit early.
Yep, only needed 1 kill. Jungler's the best one to get if you're trying to get the objective, so they go ahead and nab that.
Wow.
We got Robbie Bob printing money from the mid lane.
Yeah, actually, he's just straight up printing money. He's 3,000 ahead of his lane opponent, and Winston is right now matching Kitsuo, which at the beginning of the game, Kitsuo was getting farmed. Like, he was getting caught out. It was Western that was getting a ton of kills. Winston was in the driver's seat. But now that he's caught up, Kitsuo is like, well, now I get to just play a team fighting bruiser, which is awesome.
Nice and easy. Just find the angles, click the buttons, spin around to win the team fight. Wukong's a pretty good champion, as it turns out. And you know, I mean, Gorica again, along with all the gold, or at least the most gold for his team, one of the experienced players, always a big carry for this side. 2,000 gold under Robbie Bob. That's how rich Robbie Bob is.
It's probably just the hit show arcade. He's got the money coming in from that. That's probably why. That accounts for some of it.
All right, well, so far so good. Again, Calculus can't approach even the tankiest, in very questionable quotes. Calculus can't just face check Victor lasers at this point.
And this is something we were talking about earlier. Their access to the minion wave is very, very short. Like, yeah, it's Ashe and maybe it's Loyal if you have him next to you. But other than that, Graves' auto attack range is very low, so it means they cannot contest if they walk up on turrets. If UST wants a turret, unless you're going to outnumber them, they're going to take it in front of you.
Yeah, Victor W will zone you off. Nautilus is always threatening. I even saw, actually, when they took the mid lane out, Shogo just walked up, pressed W. Completely denied all the Seraphine wave clear.
Yeah.
Keeping minion wave alive a little longer.
It's a unique way of using it, right? Like, usually when we think about the Samir W, it's to block incoming projectiles that it will kill you. The Ashe ultimate, the Seraphine ultimate. But using it to kind of take away another cooldown off of the opponent, good. It was good gold protection.
Assuming the siege is safe, which it was in that spot. Obviously, don't do that one recklessly. You'll die and your team will flame you. It's not good. But it is nice to see UST navigate so well. After what looked like, it was like, oh, we're looking at bottom lane. Gorka's ahead. I guess the game's done. Let's go game 2. But that has not been the case. It's 5K up now for UST. Looking like they're cruising towards that 3rd dragon, that soul, and maybe a game 1 win.
Yeah, and now what I want to see is how does UST prep for this Baron here? Because if they're not able to kind of poke out vision or get deep vision down into the enemy jungle, Western can, kind of make some plays coming off of this. They can play at very long range with their Seraphine and Ashe ultimates. So that's what I'm looking for. How do they play on side lane? Porsche needs to make sure that he's not getting caught out in a side lane, which he's doing right now in the bottom lane, applying pressure there, and getting the TP wards.
All right, well, again, vision, very nice here. Plenty of space for them to play with the 2-turret lead. They see Calculus top. Robbie Bob is back down to the bottom side of the roof, but his team has control. He's playing on the stronger side this time. So no danger of getting caught out. Easy 600 gold for himself there as he pops down the tower. And UST will defend as Western tries to find a pick, but nothing comes up.
Man, I really appreciate Observers for showing us that Fog of War, because Western are playing with darkness across the map. It is just like, okay, well, we know where Robbie Bob is. We know where Shogo is. Where is the Nautilus? Where is Kitsuo's Wukong? That is super problematic for them. Oh my god! Hello?
Set? Where'd you go?
Baby boy, you're gone. You're off the map. And there we go. Can they make the pick?
They have to do something here. They need the kill. They'll get it. Gorica finds it. Now the 4v4.
Look
but Robbie Bob is so strong. But the flash is not enough. Gorica able to take him out, but he does go down to Porsche's Loyal. Gonna get shredded to threads as well.
Oh my god. And we thought, look, Victor just went down. That's probably, that's it, right? Like, that's all of your damage. You've been setting up Robbie Bob the last couple minutes, but they didn't even need him at that point. Porsche took up the mantle and said, look, we're gonna win this fight right now. Loyal's gone. Winston, low HP with Lynx. Can they make the steal? It's I mean, it's going to be incredibly difficult. You think about ultimate to try and go for this.
This is a number less than 1%
Calculus.
to steal this. As
Okay.
UST just go back in, gonna make it 0 by the looks of things. Winston zoned out, has no health to play with. Calculus back from the grave, first little flash move to get himself out of there, but Shogo finally gets some revenge, taking out Lynx there.
Grasping for straws at this point. Western are just looking for anything they can get. That's a kill for Shogo. Kind of showing back up after a rough early game here. And that's St. Thomas just putting the finishing touches on this game as they're going to now go and start at the Baron. They're going to send Porsche to take over this Dragon and now completely suffocate Western out of game 1.
Yeah, almost 7,000 gold ahead. They'll pop it up even more as they take down the Baron. They'll get the 3rd Dragon. They'll push themselves to Soul. Goric is going to do battle. Goric is pretty strong.
There's an ultimate here for Porsche. I don't know
going
how
back in. Gorica trying to win the
No.
1v1. It's not winnable, man. It's Gwen. As Loyal comes back through. Baron goes down. Loyal, don't do it. You can't fight the Gwen. Oh, he can. I take it all back. That's huge, actually.
Okay, that's a kill. I don't know if Chookies can find anything, but that's a kill. That's objective bounties there. It's a little bit of gold, and obviously it takes away some of that soul win condition. But I don't know if, St. Thomas necessarily are going to give them the next 5 minutes before that dragon spawns, right? They have the Baron.
Yeah, this Baron's going to do a lot of damage, so we'll see. But I didn't expect Loyal to win that fight. I guess...
It's damage Seraphine.
What does that say about Gwen? When I think a 10% health Gwen is going to win a 1v2 easily.
Almost won.
Yeah, I know.
Too. So Gwen is immune, but not always.
But not the criticism.
Yeah, that's always the case though. No one's immune to criticism.
That's true. Porsche, a little bit of a ego check. Loses just barely.
But if he wins that, Calculus is like, nah, okay, this champion's dumb. Like, I can't. Actually, I can't even.
You know
deal
what?
with this.
It's the next level. He doesn't want to get it banned again in game 2. Has to make it not look as good as it actually is.
Well, right now, Robbie Bob is making Victor look not
Goodbye,
really
everyone. Oh, maybe not. Calculus here. Oh my goodness, it's not okay. It's not okay. It's so not okay. Robbie Bob gonna get CC'd to death. Gorica finds the last-minute shot there with the volley, and now Kitsuo is in the enemy base. Running it straight in. The Guardian Angel was a little bit ambitious. Apparently didn't like having the cooldown, and now a double root there from the Seraphine. And UST have to find an exit strategy. The exit strategy is through the enemy teams. And it looks a bit silly, but it still works out. Shogo, pop it off. One Link's gonna get the final kill.
Okay, that's everyone dead. Let's see if Winston can make a base defense. Gwen is pushing on the opposite side of the map. Very sloppy from UST, but I'm sure the rest of the boys, they just wanted to go in. Robbie Bob's obviously feeling himself. Winston with Ghost. Has the clips pop.
No mana to speak of. Yep, dead. Just popped there by the Graves ulti. Chucky's likely going to go down as well. Not so tanky, Mr. Nautilus. Winston going to grab it.
Okay, now, obviously, we'll laugh at the absurdity of the events that just occurred on our screen. That is really bad, I think, for St. Thomas, obviously. They just lost a lot of gold. They lost a lot of pressure. That is every single one of their Barons gone at this point. So, Baron power play, out the window. That's not even 2.5 minutes deep. Very, very bad. We'll give them a small slap on the wrist if they end up winning this game, but that could be potentially the turn that Western are looking for. It's still a ton of gold, yet again, onto Winston.
Robbie's homework running a little late in the Magi's. He's lost 12 stacks since the last time I looked.
He was running, he had like a full book, he was running all the way up to the stage, and some of the pages, he just flew out.
It's unfortunate, I'll have to pick him up between games. Maybe you'll get some more as the game goes on, but this game feels like it's going to be about this Infernal Soul at this point. I thought the Baron was going to be enough. They didn't even get the top in here after throwing themselves into the enemy.
Nope. They really went for it. Like you were saying in that call, the only way out is through Western.
Yes.
They decided that was the correct play. They got punished for it. And now, coming in, we've got 2 minutes. Porsche is using his teleport to try and get into this bot wave. They really want to set up to try and get this. What is it, the 5th Drake of the game?
Yep.
Maybe that'll buy them some space. I think they really just want to use this dragon as a platform to fight against Western. They want to draw them into the dragon pit, into the river, and say, come fight us, let us kill you, let us ace you, and end out this game.
Yeah, they feel like in a 5v5, they know how to navigate those fights. Obviously have to kill off the key targets, but I think in both cases, you don't want to be the comp playing into your opponent.
No, of course not. You don't want to be walking into Fog of War versus Victor. We've seen it time and time again. Victor just one-shots people. There we go. Porsches under the turret. That's an Ash ult.
Ooh, that's good there, but they can't finish off the kill. And Robinhood's taking out Blinks. That is absurd.
Wow.
Kitsuo dives in, gonna make it 2. 3 total there as Gorik is firing away. Gets one back, but Winston gets popped by and Chookies with the flash hook is gonna seal the game for UST.
A triple kill for Kitsuo and a flash in the wrong direction that might haunt Gorica for a while. That's it. Western, they lose game 1 in a back and forth game, 10,000 gold. It was a rough early start for St. Thomas, but they're gonna bring home game 1.
Little spicy towards the end there for UST. They get the win, and that's what matters at the end. You know what? We talked at the top of the day. Talked about the AD carries, both of them supremely confident that they're going to show up the other one. And Gorik can say, all right, bot diff in this game.
Yes.
But Shogo's like, yeah, look at my team, though.
That's definitely, after that game, if I know Shogo, he's like, bot diff. We won. Bot cannon. Better team wins, you know? It happens. Gorik, obviously, obviously we were talking about it. Everybody's like, Shogo, Gorica, Shogo, Gorica. Gorica definitely got the best of him in this game 1 and wants to probably show up in game 2. Shogo wants to get revenge.
I am impressed, though, how quickly that game turned around.
Yes.
Like, I was like, oh, they're 1,500 gold up and the 2 ADs are fed? It's doomed. And then all of a sudden, it was like the opposite in about 5 minutes.
It's 100% Victor Laser.
Yeah, pretty good, as it turns out. With all that, though, let's hand it back over to the analyst just to break that game 1 down.
You could say it was indeed a diffy in the biffy, or a bot diff to end it all off. Welcome back to the desk. I'm Rob Shagravish, getting joined here by Collimer, Rebel Fox, and Smacks. Amigos, let's go break that game down, because as they were saying already, you would think it was one side of the coin, but suddenly it wasn't.
Yeah, we have to look at this draft here, because if you notice some things about these 10 champions, one side is quite good at mid-game 5v5s. The other side's not so good at mid-game 5v5s. And if you count how many mid-game 5v5s there were,
7.
you might be able to find out which one of these teams wins. And yeah, it's UST.
Which is the absolute best part. I think you laid it out pretty clearly right now. I couldn't count how many. I'm going to go for anywhere from 7 to 95 is my range for how many mid-game 5v5s we probably have. But taking a look back at the entire game, right, it really turned from when things were going pretty decently for the side of Western, and then, I don't know, where Collimer turned around.
Yeah, I think what you saw was a lot of what we expected, where both teams were heavily prioritizing, like, playing around the bot side. You saw a lot of early pressure. You saw Western literally with 4 people there at, like, 7 minutes. You even saw this early game from Winston, and basically all this pressure bot side really was what we were expecting. But what ended up happening is that when you have all these 3v3s and 4v4s bot side, Western did not come out ahead. Robbie Bob on this Victor for UST got so ahead, got his upgrade so early, and was just massive. So when we're talking about these 5v5s, which there were so many of them in the mid game, it's really hard to beat a Victor that's that far ahead, has 3 upgrades at like 15 minutes, and has 16 KP at like 20.
And we've made mention now that, like, in terms of like mid-game 5-on-5, skirmishing, both go to UST. This is also a team that is incredibly resilient. We talked about them being able to overcome some of the roster challenges they had. Imagine walking into this game, having your bot lane fall behind and going, okay, we'll rely on those teams or those players that have been in some of the PG that we talked about. Robbie Bob, Kitsuo able to kind of stand up. Porsche was incredible inside of a game like this. And even if they weren't able to fully turn everything, they had the pieces to teamfight if the game went into the later stages. And you really love that from a first-year squad.
I really enjoyed the way that Western opened this game with the response ganks from that Graves, but you're 100% right here, fellas. They got the Robbie Bob diff later on with all of the Victor AoE damage, the Gwen triple kill in the top lane that we saw pretty recently on this highlight reel. The team fights were just not close. UST was so good at that element.
And I will say UST definitely has a lot of practice and a lot of experience doing that, because they come from the South region in CELO. And if there's one thing that the South region is known for, is that you're going to get these fiestas where there's 40 kills in 20 minutes. And UST is a hands team. They want to fight permanently, and they want to show you that they will beat you, maybe not necessarily for macro all the time, but because they have better hands. And I can tell you from watching the game, we are definitely not watching LCK. This is peak CELO.
This is absolutely phenomenal, and just the fact that we get this as our first game of the day puts such a smile on my face. Yeah. Like, it's so awesome. And, like, because it was fight after fight after fight. I was like, okay, you know what? Maybe we might have a better, more controlled early game. No, Kitsu's bot side within 2 minutes. Like, cool, man. At least clear your jungle first, and then maybe come on down. But hey, I can't tell Kitsu what to do necessarily. And the best part about it is, you guys are talking a lot about Robbie Bob as well. I remember, so I do have a quote from Kelsey Melzer too, is she mentioned how Robbie Bob is widely acclaimed as the second coming of NA Faker. And that damage right there is, I think, definitely speaks to that. It's absolutely nuts, kid. Because just looking at the boards at the chart is so cool.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it really goes to show that early game, Western had a great plan. They were being very reactive and responding to everything that UST wanted to do around bot side very well. One thing that we did touch on before the game was that with so much focus around the bot side, there might be a big difference in the top side of the map. And that really might be where the difference between these two teams comes. And we saw it that game because Porsche, Kitsuo, and Robbie all exceeded expectations, and they all outperformed their opponents in this game. I think going into the next game and going into the rest of the series, if it does go 3, I think that really will be the big determiner, because both these bot lanes are insane, but it really is up to the rest of the map to kind of complement them very well.
I want to make mention that during the course of this game, we had really big moments from UST solo lanes who stood up to quite a bit of adversity when they absolutely needed to. I was actually really, really happy with Dr. Calculus, or Calculus, I suppose, in this game. I thought his set was really miraculous, and in the laning phase against Porsche, he was doing what he needed to do and had a couple of moments, even in team fights, that he was pretty miraculous. He's somebody that's kind of slid under the radar as like a first-year player here for Western, slotting into like a roster slot like Chim is somebody that a lot of people would know from previous years. Hard to replace. I thought he did really well on a set champion. It's not an easy champion to manage in a bunch of fights, especially when the game's falling to pieces, but props to him for that one.
Yeah, they had good elements on the side of Western. I think moving into this next game, they really do need to take a calmer approach to the rest of the game because, like we keep saying, they had a really strong early game. You saw it reflected in that gold graph as well. It's a lot of red very early on, very quickly spiked up for UST. That's just because all of these fights kept happening, and that's just not what their comp is meant to do. Winston, super, super smart with his early pathing on jungle. He needed to be in that bottom lane to respond to ganks, because that's where Graves thrives. That's where he was. His movement was phenomenal. And then we've all been in those situations where you get that gold lead very early, and you're like, all right, it's time to fight. It just wasn't.
It was, in fact, never time to fight.
No, it really wasn't.
Western, like, as you went along, you were thinking, okay, we got a 3 kills on our jungler. Everything is cool. No, it was in fact not cool. But maybe they can keep things chill as they continue to stay on this blue side, all right? So, Rob, I'll come to you first on this too. Just like looking at a midpoint in between these two teams, right? Is it something that kind of stuck out to you, just in general, for maybe what either side may need to focus on?
So the big thing I think that also plays into what Smax was talking about is for Western, slowing down the pacing of the game. The big thing is their whole composition was designed around some pretty big ultimates. The set ultimate can be used to disengage either Shogo on the Samira or the Wukong from a fight. The my apologies, the ultimate out of the mid lane from Loyal would have been used in a number of situations to try to dissuade some of the heavy engage that they had to set up Gorica for a big fight. They needed to slow play and take really big 5-on-5 setups that were set up for a long time. Instead, they kept getting into scrappy situations that they had no business being in.
Indeed, we did, and we'll manage to see if they manage to fix that too. We got our break coming up, and after that, we got game number 2. Y'all stay tuned. Just choose somewhere, CeeLo.